And so our last testifier, going from the global to the very local, Anna, I'll pronounce your name. Orozco, thank you very much. Rumor has it she might be a constituent of yours, Assembly Member.
Yes.
Yes. So to the very local justice policy, climate justice policy issues in Brooklyn. Thank you.
Thank you, and I guess it's appropriate that I will be the last speaker wrapping up because the majority of my testimony while supporting this very important bill will speak to opportunities to invest in clean energy alternatives, not only for New York State, but specifically in Brooklyn, where my organization Uprose is located, Sunset Park. We are a member of the district of Assembly Assistant Speaker Felix Ortiz. And it's too bad that Ms. Moreau is no longer here. She made the argument that because we're reliant on fossil fuels to get around and we're reliant on petroleum for particular products that we use every day, as if there's no other alternative, there's no opportunity to think differently and to move towards a more renewable, sustainable way of living. It's a very antiquated argument, and it shows a gross lack of imagination. So I will move on with my testimony today. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. Like I said, I am Anna Orozco. I'm the Climate Policy and Programs Coordinator at Uprose. We are a social and environmental justice organization based in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. For decades, we have mobilized the Sunset Park community on issues of sustainable and just development, participatory planning practices, and government accountability. We have long advocated on behalf of public health for cleaner air and an overall reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by the city, state, and federal government. And we are happy for the opportunity today to advocate for the divestment from the dirty energy economy at the state level. Divesting the State Common Retirement Fund from fossil fuel holdings is a necessary step in the right direction towards reaching New York State's ambitious and commendable goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 40% by 2030 and by 80% by 2050, and towards the overall goal of curbing climate change. The science is clear. Continued support of the fossil fuel economy will only continue to accelerate climate change, and in turn we will be continued to be hit by extreme weather events like Superstorm Sandy, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Uprose commends State Senator Krueger and Assembly Assistant Speaker Ortiz for initiating this step for New York State to begin divestment from the fossil fuel economy. We hope this sets a precedent for the state of New York that will encourage divestment from fossil fuel holdings elsewhere in the state's budget. Also, we hope this sets a precedent for other states to follow. New York State has long been a leader on issues viewed as controversial by other states. We have not been afraid to embrace change for the sake of progress. Joining the movement to divest from fossil fuels should not be something we shy away from or reject. Rather, we ought to be a leader in the fossil fuel divestment movement. Divestment as an overall strategy to effect change has historically proved successful, and the fossil fuel divestment movement has already had an effect on the industry. CEOs of oil and coal companies are publicly speaking out against the movement to divest from fossil fuels, a move they would not bother to make if divestment was not a threat to their business. Appealing to the morals of those economically benefiting from the fossil fuel industry has proven futile. By now, the science overwhelmingly supports the connection between climate change and the burning of fossil fuels, yet the industry has not made a move towards shutting down dirty oil refineries, power plants, or coal mines, or towards investing in clean energy alternatives. The industry will only respond to a loss of economic profit. The divestment movement puts precisely the type of pressure on the fossil fuel industry needed to truly be effective. Now is the time to continue the move away from dirty energy and support clean energy solutions like offshore wind and solar energy. Uprose is a leading advocate of climate justice at the city, state, and national level. We are a part of several coalitions and alliances that promote environmental and climate justice in the most vulnerable communities. Central to the climate justice framework is a recognition that the pathway to resilience is local and must be built up from the grassroots level. For this reason, it is essential that frontline communities, those communities most impacted by the effects of climate change, be at the forefront of shaping policy and programs around resiliency. Low-income communities of color are the most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. Therefore, we know firsthand the urgency of moving away from fossil fuel dependency. Sunset Park is home to 3 power plants, 3 waste transfer stations, and the Gowanus Expressway, which sees 200,000 cars and 25,000 trucks pass through each day. As a result, our residents, mostly low-income Latinos and Asians, suffer many health problems like asthma, lung disease, and various cancers. We are a waterfront community and are therefore very vulnerable to extreme weather events, which are occurring more and more often in our area as a direct result of climate change. Sunset Park is home to one of New York City's last remaining industrial waterfronts and is home to a diverse working-class community. While it is also home to polluting facilities, it has the potential to be a leader in the clean energy industry. While it is of utmost importance to phase out fossil fuel energy, it is equally important, if not more so, to plan out and begin to move towards clean energy alternatives. Our industrial waterfront holds potential for solar arrays, and our waterfront provides space for offshore wind energy. You can look at the maps included in the testimony that you have, and it shows space available in Sunset Park for solar arrays. There are publicly owned parking lots. While some of the area has since been designated for particular projects, it does not rule out the possibility for something like a solar canopy. We cannot afford to lose jobs in our fight for clean air. The clean energy industry is the wave of the future, and it only makes sense that communities most affected by polluting industry get the necessary jobs training to be a part of the clean energy workforce, and we really see Sunset Park as a potential to be a leader in this industry. It makes no sense to invest in the companies causing climate change at the same time we're fighting climate change. If we truly want to end our dependency on dirty energy, we cannot continue to financially support the fossil fuel industry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. I'm very familiarized with the group. I was on the board of director of the group, so many years ago, and on the foundation of the group. So I'm very proud to welcome Anna to testify on behalf of my community. This is a group that what they do is they bring a lot of elementary, middle school, and high school, and they teach them and bring awareness to them about climate change, about how to take care of the environment, how to take care of their community, and have ownership of their own niches on their residential areas where they live. Far enough, a group of 3 or 4 went to the Arctic. So that as far as Oprah has been. So they can travel and they can also enjoy themselves, but the most important thing, they don't lose sight that what they're there for is to make sure that they can continue to learn about how we can bring what they learn to our community to make our community cleaner and make our environment to be safer, and to also to share with other students the importances of what I mentioned before, of the ownership that they need to have in order to make sure that they can live in a better place and leave the place better for others as they move forward to go to college. But thank you very much for being here with us, and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you. I want to thank you for your testimony and just point out how your testimony as the closing testimony is actually, I see, the opening discussion of the other major topic that is inherent in what we're trying to do here, which is we want to get off of fossil fuels and into sustainable sources of energy for our future. And you in your testimony were talking about solar energy, you were talking about offshore wind, which of course there are discussions about bringing an offshore wind project to Brooklyn. And I'm very excited about that and have been learning more about that as well as solar. And then when I look at your maps, because in her testimony there's maps of the waterfront in Sunset Park and the Brooklyn wholesale market and the Army terminal. And another issue I'm working on, and I bet Felix will be in the same place as I am, the potential for electric vehicles, particularly for industries that are heavily dependent on vehicles coming in and out in the parking lots, and the potential to do electric vehicles and charging stations in Brooklyn right along the waterfront, I think also highlights what one individual community can set as goals for itself, both for private citizens improving their options in sustainability, but companies and an entire community saying, how would we do this in a sustainable world? And I'm just delighted that you're out there doing all this terrific work. So thank you for testifying. And again, we can have our future discussions on the models going forward and the importance of investing, because the other thing we didn't really talk about today, if the state of New York isn't investing in fossil fuels, it will be looking to invest in other things.
That's correct.
And as I think Lisa brought up in her testimony, sustainable energy is 150 years behind in investments and infrastructure, and isn't that an important role for government to play in supporting sustainable energy models as we work to phase out of the dangerous ones as quickly as possible?
On that note, Senator,
Yes,
it's
Assembly
important to
Member.
mention that in Red Hook, right now, we are working on the process to bring Tesla to ensure that those of you can afford a Tesla can energize your vehicle in Red Hook, and then you can go to the waterfront and have fun. But yes, we need to emphasize on renewable energy. We need to re-emphasize on wind energy, and we just have a testament in Sunset Park also that we just put a one of those wind poles to generate energy. As a result, that is a recycling facility, and that recycling facility is being used as an example throughout the country on how you can use for material, combustion material that being used in order to bring energy and to be more efficient. So it's more to come in my Sunset
Right.
Park, and you've been reading about Sunset Park probably in the New York Times many times, and more to come, and just stay tuned.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming and participating as testifiers or as witnesses to the testimony today. And I know that we are going to continue to move forward, do follow up with some of the people who testified here today, plan our next forum with the Controller's Office participating. Hopefully. No, they will. They have said they absolutely will, so we will find the date. And I just appreciate so much my colleague Felix Ortiz and his staff's work, as well as my own staff's work in getting this all put together today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.